What's up? It's Tommy Green. You're listening to the Rev Talks podcast, brought to you by the Rev Gatherings, digital tribe of up-and-comers, emerging leaders, doing our best to keep in step as the face of the church changes in our generation. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, welcome home. If you are a returning visitor, hiya. Feel free to subscribe, share it around, give us a 5-star review. Tell somebody. If you like what you hear, please let us know. You can reach out to us at therevgatherings.com. Feel free to email us at therevgatherings@gmail.com. Hope you enjoy the episode. See you on the other side. So hold on, sorry. So JR, you're waiting for Geoff, but I want to hear you start over again. We're just talking about records you absolutely would have to put in your memory box. Your son Bronx is going to find this and go, oh my gosh, this is my dad's style. Go from number one.
Okay. Rancid and Out Come the Wolves.
Okay.
At the Gate, Slaughter of the Soul.
Yes.
Martyr AD, The Human Condition.
Okay.
Yeah. Minor Threat.
Yep.
Conflict, The Ungovernable Force. One of my all-time favorites.
Conflict. Refused. Yeah.
New Noise EP.
Okay.
There's 6. Disrupt Unrest. 7.
Unrest. Yes.
Compilation. Gosh, what else, man? I would probably do man, there's so many great records. I would probably do man, you get to a certain point and you're like, I only got 3 left.
Yep.
I only got 3 left. What am I supposed to do now?
What bands that you've been in would you include? Because I found the first Chatham Basement demo. I found old acoustic stuff that I did. So I'm saying, like, what bands would you be like, okay, and this is my journey. So maybe that's a good one too.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Geo in. Hold on one sec.
All right.
Okay, so you've got 7, and then what records from the bands that you were in would you include?
All right. I would do okay, this is my honest answer now.
Yeah.
The Death Star demo, which I wasn't on. But it's the best one, dude.
That's 8. That's such
it moshes the hardest.
It does mosh hard.
I would do probably Kingdom Days and Evil Age.
Ooh, that's a good record.
And it's got the deluxe edition, so it's got like 35 songs on it. 75 songs. Yeah, all of it.
Gio, we're recording. Hi, how are you?
All right, how are you?
Oh, we're doing. Okay.
What are you doing?
Yeah. I like it. Hold on one sec. So, 8.
Yeah, Geoff, shut up for a second. I would do. Have any of my other bands recorded? Was I in any other bands?
Death from the Left, bro. Would you include
that? Not that anyone cares about.
Yeah, you're right, dude. Nobody cares about any of the bands I've been in.
What's a Death Star? That demo was so hard. That was so much fun. That was the best thing I ever got to sing on ever.
It's the best one. I might put the Death Star. Shut up, Geoff. I might put the Death Star 7-inch on there because that was the first thing I ever recorded with Death Star.
And that was with Aftermath. That with Aftermath?
Yeah, that was the split. The split with Suffocate Faster. Yeah.
Yep, that one's sick. That's sick.
And
one last choice. We're moving to Brulette.
And finally, I would put on the album we made in the van where Eric just freestyled like 12 songs with no music.
Puff It Wicked.
Puff It Wicked.
He is, I think, honestly, because he was like dumb, tired, totally PG-13, rated R, quasi-Christian. He's terrified that that record, he's terrified is going to be his undoing.
Oh, 100%. I don't know if it exists anywhere in the world, but it's for sure the one thing that's going to keep him from running for office for the rest of his life. Just the threat of that existing.
Cancel culture on alert. Dude, okay, so Gio, hi.
Hi.
Welcome. Good to see you.
Hi, Geoff.
Shut up.
Okay, so thank you so much for jumping on early. I forgot I thought my appointment was later in the day. I'm trying to be respectful of my tattoo artist, and so
yeah, you got to be a tatty daddy. Yeah,
we have an hour, and if we have like an hour 20, is that cool?
That's cool.
Yeah, I only need like 3 minutes. You're fine.
Geoff is only going to list his top 10 favorite kinds of milk to drink, and that's it.
Yo, okay, I'm keeping it off. I'm not recording.
Almond milk at the top right now. So,
what are you doing, dude? You're not even looking at the camera. You're like playing Jenga by yourself on your desk, and you're winning.
He's playing
what happens when I don't have kids? I just start playing Jenga by myself. I was trying to get my AirPods to work to connect to the computer, but they're being jerks. So.
Oh, well, welcome to poor man's life, dude. I'm tethered here, bud.
I'm trying, but these ones don't connect to my computer. And then I have these ones that don't have like a mic.
Man, life's hard, dude. I'm really sorry you're so oppressed.
You have no idea.
Are you wearing a Sleeping Giant shirt?
Yes,
I'm always long sleeve, dude.
And
nice.
Are you in sweats?
Guys, I have to wear poor stuff so my wife can wear nice stuff.
Hey, Candace Brulette. Hi, we love you. Okay.
I can't told her to get out, by the way.
Okay, so Geoff, do you have sweats on, and are you wearing white New Balances?
Yeah, I ordered these really nice.
What
I ordered these really nice lounge shorts. They're pink.
Oh,
that's salmon.
Yeah, I would guess it was a good salmon color before they're cooked, but yeah,
smoked.
Before they're cooked,
pan fried.
Geoff is smoking salmon and drinking buttermilk.
Somebody call the police. Hello, real cops.
Okay, so here's what we're doing. So we are doing the first ever Sleeping Giant conversation. I found records. I have records. I'm sure you have them somewhere. So this is what I don't even know exactly where to start other than what do you guys remember, maybe generally, about putting this record together? And then maybe we'll just go by whatever songs pop up for you guys. I'll just give the names. And then if you have anything to throw out, it's mostly just for the people that really loved this record, because I'm sure you guys have other stories or other perspectives on it. I just didn't want it to, I was going to do the lyrics, and I was like, no, I'd rather hear the stories. So what do you guys remember about putting this together?
I remember that it was like halfway written before I even joined the band. So
that's what I was just going to say. I should only join half of this podcast then.
Yeah, this is not the right record for us.
Okay, so half it was written. I showed JR, dude, I've been like going through my house. Me and Chrissy are going through our house, and I found this book. You remember when this was released in Barnes & Noble in Southern California?
Yeah.
We became Boston. We were Boston. We were Chicago. We were one of those bands that all of a sudden was named after where they were from, and we had no idea. So this
I wish we were Chicago.
Dude. I wish we had a horn section. That's for sure. That'd be sweet. Ham and egg coming at you.
What a wasted opportunity.
Isn't that what people thought we were like named after or something for a while?
Yeah.
Is that like that?
They literally, this came out after we named our band this, and it's called An Illustrated History of Southern California's Inland Empire. So all of a sudden it took on this whole like, we're part of something. And really it was just because Dead Guy is pissed, and we all know it, and they're better. And I do regret that Sleeping Giant never just put the Cairo on the front with Sleeping Giant in red, and on the back had Jesus, and it said "Death to False Christian Metal." That would have been the hardest Dead Guy ripoff shirt we ever could have done, but no one would have got it. It would have been too obscure. And
now's the time for of the show where we go through and we list a big giant list of false Christian metal bands. Okay, go. I'll take notes.
I thought you were going to say list a bunch of things that we should have done.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we don't have time.
So the first song, "The Army of One," and what do you guys remember? What do you guys remember about recording?
Not that much.
I listened to the record this morning on my run, and was like, God, that's wild. That's a long time ago. This is 2007.
I just remember a lot practicing in Old Tithamy. That's like what I remember most about that record is on that small stage.
The first Tithamy building?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
Because half of that record was already kind of written with you guys before I came in, and then I think we still wrote like 5 or 6 songs And then some of those songs.
What was the first song you wrote?
I don't know.
Geo.
I know.
I think like some of it was Blame It, but I remember like Covenant and those other ones that we wrote. That was in the new. I think that was like in a different part of the old Tiffany. So like Blame It and some of those were made in the back end of Tiffany on the stage, and then we moved to the front.
Yeah, my office
room, your office, like, and that was like Covenant. And some of those, like, This Is the Word, that kind of stuff where you're like, I have this idea, and then we had to like figure
flush
it
out for
Yeah.
6 weeks. It was the worst. Because it's all one note. It just keeps going. It's all the same song. Just all the same song.
Yeah. That's what I remember. And then everyone would just kind of come and hang out on the couches, whoever wanted to. Trying to think. Recording.
I didn't write anything.
Yeah, what's one of the first memories of Geoff writing for this record?
I remember he had long hair and looked like a weenie.
That's true. I still do.
And we picked him up from some other local band. And I was like, I don't know about this dude. He looks like kind of a weenie. And then we had a big band meeting. Geoff doesn't know this story. We had a big band meeting, and we all said, do we let this weenie in our band? He looks like such a weenie. It could ruin our image, right?
Our image is very important.
Yeah, our image is everything.
Yeah, you had a great one already. But
the egotistical, cliquish, weirdo, Christian, cool. Yeah, we looked great. We had a good look kicking it off.
Yeah, awesome. we were very
blatant
cool.
Insecurity, louder than everyone else. Awesome.
Nothing like a group of Christians having a meeting to see if this other Christian can be in their group.
Thank you.
Is he Christian enough?
No, it's just is he cool enough, Christian? Can we?
Yeah.
Is he going to add any leverage? No. So you were in Plague of Sheol. What was your perception of the band when you joined, Geoff? What did you actually think was going to happen?
Nothing. Just another like a fun band. But I see, like, when I played like metal stuff, it wasn't like. I mean, it was fun, but it was like a different kind of fun, you know? Like, you couldn't really move around. You kind of had to just like be on time the entire time. So this was something completely different than what I was like used to. So, sure. But it was kind of like it was more of a joke at first. Like, forgot where I saw you guys play. And then I mentioned to Corey, I said, if you guys ever need a second guitar player, like, let me know. And then I think maybe like a week or something goes by, and he said like, hey, were you kidding or were you serious? Mm-hmm. I said, oh, I was serious. And then he said, learn some of the songs. And then you guys just said, like, we have practice this day. Come, bring your stuff.
I remember wanting you to play in the band because I knew that you would play piano. I just remember thinking, like, this guy likes melody and he knows notes, and I think it'd be cool. I bet you he'd make some stuff beautiful. That was like and so then I remember talking to Corey about it and being like, yeah, Geoff. But that's only because of my relationship with you going out to Corona and sort of like seeing you out there and being like, yeah, this dude would be all right. And then with Plague of Sheol, I remember you guys would play shows. I still have a bit of a crooked nose from BJ quasi breaking my nose during your intro song, that like one open note. Yeah. And he just like smacked. Anyways, so, you know, I hate your first band, but it's cool. No big deal. Mm-hmm. I did also find pictures from Plague the Red Letters show at Halloween in the old Tiffany building yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember practicing, and I remember loving This Calls for Patient Endurance. That song was so fun to practice. That's what I remember, being on the stage and being like, this song is so hard. Just the end part was so hard. And I remember it was like a 2-minute song. So all of our songs were quick. So Geoff, you just remember that you didn't have to be talented to play in the band. Awesome.
Yeah. And I didn't even
brag, or is that like
playing like a piano. So
yeah, it's cool. I play piano, just like 4 notes, and then I make people build whole songs out of it, which is cool. No big deal.
True. You just do this again. Keep going.
So, JR, what was the first song Geoff wrote?
The first song I remember him being there for was probably, honestly, it was probably Covenant. Mm-hmm. That's like the first time I remember Geoff like writing a song with us, because songs that were already there, before I even joined the band, it was just you, Travis, and Corey.
Yeah.
Were Behold the Pale Horse and Patient Endurance. And I think there was like one more half song.
There was like Power Prayer and like No Sleep, I think was already done.
Yeah,
but
that sounds right. That was like the first handful.
Yeah.
The
So
one I remember working on right away was Blame It.
Really? I thought Blame It was already there too.
No.
Blame It came later. I remember
Okay.
it was closer to when we were getting ready to record, because I remember playing it live at Showcase and not having lyrics for it.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember just like the dun, 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 and I think I just was like, go, and then everyone just like jumped, and I was like, all right, here we go, and that was it. And I didn't even have lyrics for it the first time we played it live.
That's the most Sleeping Giant thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. The second most would be me standing on stage going, hey, everyone, just sing this and let's see what happens.
You throwing the microphone into the crowd and disappearing for like 30 minutes.
Okay, so that's awesome. All right, so for the Army of One, I remember, why did I write that? I wrote that to be like 1984. It was like punk rock. That's what I remember. I remember feeling it was like Thought Control. It was like an anthem. I think of like some kind of a weird religio fascist, like, commercial thing or something like that. It was very much that way. This calls for patient endurance on the parts of the saints. What's your favorite song on this record?
The Sleeping Giant.
Yeah, that was already written too, by the way.
Was it really?
I
remember when it happened.
Yo, where was I during all this?
You were on stage. You were on stage at Tiffany. It was me, you, and CJ, and he was tuning. He was tuning his guitar, and I was playing drums. Travis wasn't there. And I remember he said, he went like, he was tuning like, and I was like, do that. And he was like, do what? And then he did it again. And then I was like, keep going. And he went, and I was like, and I just like started doing the drums. And then it turned into that first riff. But I remember when we actually recorded that with Charlie Bybee for his first recording project.
Yeah.
That's when I first sang it.
When he was still at school.
Yeah, he was in school. It was at that Nick. Who's that dude?
Yeah.
Riverside kid. Anyways, but I remember when I sang that, it was the first time. So I remember how that came together. It was Corey was tuning his guitar, and I was on drums and did the like, do that thing. And then that's how that song started. It's a whole passage from Isaiah. I remember singing and feeling like, sounded like Section 8 to me, that band from New York. So I remember just thinking like, well, that's different. What's your favorite part about it?
The Sleeping Giant?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the singing, hands down.
Oh, cool.
Hands down. When you belt out Awake Arise, it's like the greatest part of any song. There's no breaks, there's no chugs, and somehow it's like the heaviest thing on the whole record. It's so great.
That's Connor Green's favorite. I remember that Joe Marciano and the dude Joe Sidoti, they wanted to change the notes around. They spent like 3 hours pitch shifting to try to see if I could come up with like a different harmony. And then I was like, no.
No.
I was like, I know. It's probably not accurate. This is probably not good, but it's what we've got. That was also when we were covering Life of Agony. So I think I was trying to straddle some lines there. It's also big shout out to Connor Green. That was his favorite song that we ever wrote.
Big shout out.
Big shout out.
Talk about
this for a second. Geoff, talk about this for a second on Whoremonger. Talk about the first time that that kind of gelled live. I remember you had friends that were there from Corona. And I remember the first time we played that and you started doing stuff and it kind of got filled up and you came to me and said you had friends that were like crying. Like something really happened when we played that song live the first couple times. I think that was kind of the magic that was on it a little bit. But do you remember that the first time we really opened that song up a little bit?
A little bit. Did we play that first time at was it in Redlands or Showcase?
It's a showcase.
I think it was Showcase, right?
Yeah.
I think that was one of the another one of our songs that wasn't really fully finished.
Mhm.
Like we had all of it there, but I don't think the what is it, the lead part kind of over the bridge part. Like I don't think any of that was done.
No, you did it on stage. That's what I remember.
So yeah, I didn't think that song was going to be what it was, to be honest, until I think it got put out on CD and it made it bigger than what it was live, and then people kind of caught on. But for that first time, there was a bunch of kids from Corona, I remember coming, and that ended up standing out to them the most out of all of our songs, which was interesting because I didn't think it was going to go that way at all, especially because a lot of people haven't even heard that song because it wasn't I don't think it was recorded yet. You know, it was just like, hey, we wrote this new song, here you go. But a lot of people were impacted by that. That was also, I think, the first time you kind of addressed all that stuff about you. You know, you kind of had a platform
Yeah, that was a story.
to talk about all that stuff that you went through.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So I think that also added to it too, because you didn't talk about all that stuff beforehand because you didn't really have, not that you didn't have a place, but you didn't really have a song or anything to like give it a place to talk about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think all of that combined, people just weren't used to it.
Yeah.
And it went from there. But it was one of those songs that I don't think was fully finished, you know, it was 85-90% done. And then we didn't know that there was really any room to add much more, but there was. So
yeah, kind of did the deedlies that you do.
Yeah, the deedlies.
He does deedly sometimes. Yeah.
Jared, what's your first memory of Whoremonger? Because you and me were so tight back then. You and me had a similar, like, we're romantics. We're like passion people. So I know you knew my story just from being so tight with me at Tiffany and just my friend. Yeah. Give me your first like Whoremonger experience, or the earliest one that you can remember.
I remember when we first started playing that song live, I would cry every time.
Oh, wow.
Every single show, I would cry when we played that song, every show. And I think a lot of that is just because I felt so connected to you and I loved you so much. You know what I mean? That being included in like a crazy struggle that you went through was really, really impactful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just felt it every single time. And I think there's something, I think what kind of like, you know, we hear it to this day, like Sleeping Giant was something different. You know, there was lots of Christian bands, but nobody had the kind of deep impact on people that you did. Not necessarily in terms of like, you know, mainstream reach or popularity or even like talent. Sure. You know, there was lots of bands doing all of that in a better way.
Way better.
But what, and honestly, like, you know, what those bands didn't have was your transparency and your openness. Like, I don't remember ever seeing a band before Sleeping Giant started playing where somebody could just straight lay bare their soul, right? When you're that honest with somebody, that's the part that's transformational, right? It gives other people the chance to be honest with themselves and about what they're going through. And it kind of destroys the ego. You know what I mean? Like we were on stage in front of like, you know, hundreds, sometimes thousands of people. And there you are standing in front of them. And if I had $1 for every time I heard you say something like, I'm an idiot, or we're so dumb. Like, what are we doing up here? You know, like
you have at least like $8, $10, something like that, probably.
Dude, probably like 800.
12
I'd have $1,000.
I'd have $1,000.
I'd have $1,000 in my pocket. But honestly, what you did is you took the ego out of the factor, right? Like, lots of bands were more popular, but they were holding on to this, you know, sometimes false ego of, you know, what they're entitled to, what they deserve, what they are contributing to the scene or to their fans or, you know, to their friends or whatever have you. And you just sort of boiled it down. You know, you reduce the ego enough for people to be like, you know, like I'm really seeing a genuine person. Sleeping Giant as a group was conveyed as like a genuine person that people can relate to.
Oh, good. That's ill. That's super cool. Okay.
I think.
Like we showed up, there was something sincere about what we were doing. Like it was honest.
Yeah. And
more honest than maybe everyday stuff. Okay.
Yeah. And so there was lots of songs we wrote across all of the albums that were like deeply personal, but this was the first one we presented.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember being in like the showcase, which was the rowdiest venue ever. And it was like pin drop silent as you just talked about this. You just talked about this stuff and people were like, what the hell is this guy doing? You know what I mean? Like, why is he telling us this?
That was different. That had been a while. You know, and I'm going to give the shout out, I think, to Jason Moody from NIV. The only other time I remember feeling like that sense of, because it creates, like, I thought about the ingredients to a Sleeping Giant show when I was running back home today. I was like running and like, what were the ingredients that like went into that? And I went, there was the belief in the room, there was the band, there was the unbelief or the hatred in the room, there's the wildness of hardcore kids, there's insecurity. Like all these things are coming together to make this blend of like what would happen. The only other time I remember feeling care in the room like that was when Jason Moody lost his son. And they wrote that song, what is it called? Someday, or I'm going to see you there. It was like kind of like an Oi song. And he wrote it for his son that passed away. And I remember when Moody would share his story, it got quiet. And I remember thinking, so this is possible. Back then, I remember thinking, he's showing his heart and people respect that. But then it worked with us playing with, you know, DMS bands from New York and weird bands from the East Coast they would come up and be like, yo, thank you so much. And I remember thinking, this works like this, but
from really unlikely places,
dude, like
we were
legit.
like, you were showed tons and tons of respect because of your willingness to just share your story, you know, and it's different than what's up guys? Thanks for coming. Like, we just want you to know the reason we're on this stage is because our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And like, you know, like, please don't go to hell. So come talk to us at the merch table, you know? It's different than that.
Please.
It's like, seriously, guys, like, hell's for real, and like, don't burn your balls off. Come accept Jesus Christ. Like, it's different than that. When you say, I don't have anything to offer you except for what I've been through. And it's either an instruction or a command, accept Jesus, or it's your sincere experience and your compassion, you know? Don't make the same mistake I did is so different than you have to do this.
That is it, huh? It's like, this is what I've gone through. That's better. Because I think of Lucy, remember the sound girl, Lucy?
Yeah.
You know, first tour, she did sound for, I feel like she was like kind of like an East Coast hardcore kid. She hung out with all those New York people. And we're on tour with a bunch of other Christian bands. And she told me it's different with your band because everyone else feels like they're preaching at you. And you're saying, this is what we've gone through or something. And I remember thinking, well, that works. That's better. I like that legacy quite a lot more. That makes more sense. Okay, Dad's swooping in. Whoa, am I grounded? What's going on?
No. One, do you remember the bass player for Oceano at the time? I think his name was Jason.
Jason, yeah, I talked to him the other day.
That he would always come up to you after that song. I remember that on tour. I think it was with Winds of Plague or something.
It was great, man.
He was always like, that just does something to me. I don't know what it does, but every time you play it, and you're, yeah. And then second, you wrote the end breakdown on drums on the snare at practice for that song.
And that was a Salt Lake City breakdown. I was in a band with Jake Miller and Jack Ford, and we were trying to do something really slow. Like the songs were going to be like 11 minutes long. This is like pre-Tamerlane. And it was like, Jake was playing guitar. It was like going to be like droney. And I remember that it was like, I think the tempo was like, jun, 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 jun. It was like, I think I took part of the Sleeping Giant breakdown at the end, and I took the Whoremonger breakdown. I feel like I took it I took Q from one of those riffs. I wrote that on the
Ripped off your own
snare.
riffs?
I did do that on the snare, huh?
Yeah, Corey and I had like
I remember that.
pretty much the song, but we couldn't think of it, and you were behind the drums at the time. And so
That
you're
was
like,
fun, man. I remember playing. I was trying to remember which songs I played on the drums when we recorded.
yeah,
Whoremonger was one of them.
Dynasty you played.
I played Dynasty. Yeah, T-Boy.
You can tell it's Tommy if you listen to it, because Travis was very straightforward, good fundamentals, and insanely hard impact on the drums. And Tommy, if you listen to it, it's like you gave somebody who's trained in jazz drumming sticks and were like, now you play hardcore. So there's really... Of course you did.
I did that for 2 years. Yeah. Of
course you did.
I had to tie my shoe with my left hand and everything. I had to have an open stance. It was like a whole thing.
Yep.
No, that's real. Okay, so
it's really elaborate fills, and it's super, super technical.
Okay, so Dynasty, I think I did
you did one of the...
Oh, praise him. This is the word.
King of Kings, did you do?
Yeah, I did the last three. And I did...
You did Army of One.
I did do Army of One. Okay, so I think I did like 5 songs on that. Okay, so Covenant, that's so hard. Shout out Chrissy Green. Blame It on the Holy Rollers. What was the controversy around that? Wasn't Oblige pissed at us about something?
Yeah, we were...
Everything.
Everything.
Well, I feel like I found out about all this random stuff later, and I'm like, they did. Hold on, what? They were.
Yeah,
what?
I remember writing the intro "Blame It" riff. We were just sitting around doodling, and I think I came up with that. And then Corey's like, "Yeah, keep that, and we'll just go into this like filler riff." And then Travis is like, "We'll just do this stupid breakdown in between, and then reverse it, and then we'll have Brooks sing on it." And I think it came together kind of like one practice.
Yeah.
But I think Greg from Oblige thought for the longest time we ripped them off. And I was like,
guess what? Every band sounded the same back then.
I was like, we all lived like 5 miles apart from each other.
Probably. Yeah,
we
did not rip you off, I'm sorry to say, but I mean, I guess I could understand where he's coming from, but
I can also say that Oblige record is on Spotify now.
Yeah.
And it's really good still.
They were so
It's super, super good.
They were so pissed. Okay, so Blame It on the Holy Rollers.
I mean, it's no Dread Champions, but it's okay.
It's not Dread Champions.
They were pissed musically and emotionally.
They were very upset.
Dynasty was for Marion Green. Covenant was for Chrissy Green. Blame It on the Holy Rollers was Brooke. That was like for Brooke. And I remember, I found out where I got my "Don't You Judge Me" line is from The Aviator by Martin Scorsese. I remember that we went. It's Katharine Hepburn's character, I think, says something to Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and I think she says, "Don't judge me, don't you dare judge me," and she walks away, and I'm like, I think that's where that came from. Like, I think that was like a real phrase. Okay. Let me see. What's a song we haven't talked about that stands out to you from this record?
Narrow Road, dude.
Talk about it.
Shout out to Davey
Quiggle. Come on, bro. That's
okay. Let's talk about Dave Quiggle for a second.
Let's do that.
We talked him into singing on this song because he is the most gifted person, no matter what he does, right? He plays guitar, he's incredible. He does art, he's incredible. He tattoos, he's incredible. He sings or yells more.
Incredible.
Yeah,
he sounds like a G.I. Joe character come to life. He's the best.
And if he listens to this and hears me brag about him, he's going to be pissed because he is the most like humble, like dude of all time.
Yes.
Like you would never hear him say like, "Oh, I made this and I'm like pretty proud of it because it's kind of good." You'll never hear that from him. Yeah, he's incredible.
Cool. Hey, shout out to Dave Quiggle for just being the most humble. He should be really proud of being humble.
Such a good person.
He's the most.
He's the best.
Say he's the best at being humble. Dave, you're the best. Hey,
nobody's more humble than you. Nobody.
Keep listening, Dave. Keep listening.
Dave, You're tall. Your hair's still perfect.
Perfect.
You're like
Best style.
You're like 10 years older than me, and I look 10 years older than you. You're smart. I'm dumb. You're very good looking. I'm not attractive.
Fine, as long as you're willing to admit that now. So do you remember recording with him?
No, I wasn't there.
I do. I remember. What were you doing when we were recording this record?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Because I remember that I think Death Star was filming a video for We Are the Threat, and it was the really bad one that never got released.
That's good.
I remember Ron Fox came from Battleground and did guest vocal. He did gang vocals with Stafford and Loomis and, gosh, a bunch of people. So Ron Fox did stuff here, but he was in town and Death Star was filming a video. How long did we record for? Do you guys remember this? Was it like a week?
Way longer than what we needed to, for sure.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Mr. Gosh, hey, are we grounded now? Are we in trouble?
It was one of the things where everyone was trying to do something to change it. Then we're just like, no, this is how it goes. Like what you were saying, where it's like, oh no, your key needs to be here. Or like, maybe you should do this. And it's like, half of the songs have already been recorded. Like
the songs are written already. We don't need to do that now.
And then the bass, like all the tones, the bass tone's great on the album, but that took like a while because they brought in everything and he set up his whole, I forgot who it was.
His name was Tom. We called
Evil Tom.
Evil Tom.
Yes, that's right.
Shout out to Evil Tom, wherever you are in the world.
We would play like the weirdest droney, weird stuff at Tiffany. And then I was like, yeah, you should come in and bring your rig because it was all.
And it was like a huge, it was just like all this
so
stuff.
Big.
And that took forever. And which was a great bass tone, but I mean.
Do you like?
You're welcome, guys.
I'm a huge fan still. I feel like people either love or hate that tone, and I feel like it's just
nobody hates it. Nobody hates it.
I don't think anyone hates it.
Eric Gregson hates it. Shredson hates it. He will go on record and be like, "I hated that bass tone," and I'm like,
"Well, guess what? Eric's fired. He's no longer in Sleeping Giant."
He wasn't on this, right? But I'm saying it's like to me, it felt like so cool. Like it was like, dude, this. It
was the coolest thing in the world.
Grungy and like punk and awesome and.
It fit it. It definitely fit the record. If that's.
I like that. So yeah, recording with Dave was awesome. I remember he didn't want to yell. Like he hadn't yelled in a long time. So he's standing, all tall. And I was like, oh, I felt like my Shockwave and Disciple dreams were just like coming true in front of me. It was the sickest moment ever.
And we probably got him to sing that with us live one time. Maybe two.
Yeah.
Because he just doesn't
one where his heart was kind of in it, and then maybe one where he was like, gosh,
please don't make me do this. Yeah.
We gave him $28 and a ham sandwich, and he was like, I don't eat ham.
And a shirt you designed.
Yeah, and the shirt he designed. Here you go. Good job.
Putting money into his own pocket.
Yeah.
I remember you. I remember being there when you had Kevy D scream at Army, and he didn't understand really what you were having to do. And you're like, Kevy, I just need you to scream, and then we're just gonna like keep repeating it. And he's like, okay, and then. Who was the guy that was tracking it all? I can remember his name.
Joe Sidoti.
Yeah, and then Joe Sidoti's like, okay, you want it like this? And you're like, yeah, and then just keep going. Like, and
if you listen to that, there's literally Kevy D screaming these giant breasts over the entire song. It's just like this wail.
Dude, his voice was so pissed. I just remember loving it. I wanted so much, I wanted all of our friends on it. It was almost like I wanted it to feel like a whole bunch of people where it's like, who are these people? Where did they come from? And so for Kevy, I remember thinking, I don't have like lines for him. Yeah. So I remember just being like, I want you to do your tone and we're just going to fill the whole song.
I remember just Joe Sidoti being so confused, like, okay, you want it here? And then you're like, yeah. And then just loop it.
Just like keep going, dude. Every four, just get starting again. It's just going to keep going. I want it to sound like, because again, that song, I had a vision, and whenever it was, I was at this conference and I saw this picture. I was like in prayer or something. And I saw this picture where it was almost like this governmental like flag. And then it like dropped down underneath the ground. And all of a sudden it was like, these flags were like marching, and they were all regal and it looked all beautiful. And then it was like it dropped down underneath the earth. And in this vision, it felt like hell, like mud and like dogs ripping bodies apart. Like it just felt horrible. And so in that song, I remember thinking I wanted it to feel like this fascist like dictator's voice, and then what was going on underneath it was Kevy. This like just so I was like, just keep making it sound like hell. That's like where I was at in my brain, and Kevy's so pissed that it was like perfect. But shout out Kevy D being the hardest. I still will listen to that one Death Star song. What's the dude? Wake? No, what's the one where? Dang it! Damn it! Which Death Star?
Hey, you can ask me. I was in the band.
I know. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
I was in it for like a month, so you could ask me.
Everyone was in it. That's the point. No, it's the dun, 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 dun.
That is
Remember, it starts with his yell.
Fallen Sons.
That when he does the like.
With the Led Zeppelin outro.
Yeah, so hard. When there's a part where I think he says into outer darkness, and it just sounds like
ripped away into outer darkness.
And it's you know what it reminds me of too? It sounds like Carl from First Blood, who just is pissed. Anyway, that's So anyways, I remember that his help on the Army of One was he was making that hellish continual thing. Yeah, Joe was like confused about that one on the front end, but that was also like a weird directive. He's just going to keep yelling. Just that echo.
That was the first time that like I think we as a band ran into you like having all this stuff built up in your head and trying to put it out, you know. And that
talk about that, because that was like a thing.
Well, it was just kind of like even writing like Kings of Kings, and this is the word where you're like, okay, keep that going, but do this, and then we're gonna go into this, and this is what I hear in my head, but I don't know how to get it out yet. So I remember like even us, and then Joey's like, okay, I don't know what you mean, but like this is how it goes, you know. So I remember that being like the start too of the next couple records where you're like, okay, I have this like piano melody, but I don't know how to describe it, but we're going to build off of it and we're going to go into, you know, so.
If you could take two, like on some of the stuff that we did, what would you have challenged? What would you have changed?
On this, wait, say that again?
On any part of it, because that was like a dynamic. But when I moved away, it made it harder because we never got to be together. So
Jeff just went full grandpa.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Say it again.
It's like turning. It's like.
What was your question?
It's like turning down the volume on your music to try to find the address on the street. Hold on, I can't think right now. Let me turn down the volume. I can't see the address. What? Say it again.
What was the question?
Honey, fix this. Candace, fix this.
Is the bread soft? The bread has to be soft.
Oh my gosh.
He gone.
Okay, so
what the hell were we talking about?
What I'm saying was that dynamic of like, there's some stuff we did together, and then there was this stuff going on, maybe just in me specifically, and I don't know how to do it, right? So I'm trying to like explain it or whatever. If you could take two on some of the ideas, what would you change? What would you have added or taken away? Or how did you relate to that on this record when you were like, what is he doing? Or is it going to come together? Did it actually work or not?
For me, I don't know if I would really, I mean, maybe be a little bit more vocal, but at the time it was like, you guys already had half of the record like written before I came in. So I didn't know where my place was as far as like, oh, do I give my idea? But they've already kind of established their sound. Should I just let it go? Like, I'm here if they ask me, you know, that portion of it. But I think it kind of communicated the best that you knew how, as far as what you heard for a song, you know, as saying like, okay, I hear this. And then we would kind of have to find it on the guitar or find it, or you would help. Okay, do it on the piano, you know, and then you would hop on the drums, and then do it that way, because you were describing it to Travis, like, Travis, do this. And then Geoff, you try to come up with this in my head, So I don't know if I would really change much. I don't think it would really change the outcome of the album. But for that specific album, for me, I was still kind of new to the band, so I didn't know vocally like how much of a say,
I remember talking to a group of people right after the album came out, and I remember being like so proud of it, like just so pumped on how it came out. And somebody had mentioned like, "Oh yeah, your record's cool. It's like sort of like a rap rock thing." And I remember being so crushed, like, what? No, it's not. And they're like, yeah, dude, there's like multiple songs where Tommy's like rapping. And I'm like, oh shit, there is. There's totally. And I remember like being super self-conscious about it. And then that lasted about 6 minutes. And I was like, I don't care. It's still cool.
I remember Ryan Gregson ripping. He ripped Whoremonger. I remember him telling me it just sounds like POD. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I remember feeling like, Rye, I'm not going to debate this with you. I love you so much. Stop it. Like, no.
You said, Ryan, listen to me. I feel so alive for the very first time.
And we are the youth of the nation. And we are going to talk about it. No, I
remember meeting that dude at Cornerstone one time. Sonny.
Mm-hmm.
He's a turd.
You don't like Sonny?
No, he's okay. I'm just kidding.
I'm trying to think of the last time I texted him. He came to our last show. I broke down with him a little bit. I'm trying to think of. I want him to be on here. I remember.
Let's say that for another podcast of just
okay.
Who are actual turds in the music.
It'll just be called SG Rips, and everyone will think it's like us playing songs, but it's like us just talking crap about everything.
So you guys like this guy? Let me tell you how he really.
Yeah. Talk about this fool. Let's talk about this.
One word, one number. Project 86. Coming to an episode near you.
Gosh, that was so frustrating.
Just kidding.
No, you're not.
That was
no, I'm not kidding.
a miserable experience. That was so bad.
I don't know. Watching him go through what he did in Salt Lake City at that show was like all worth it to me. It was all worth like little Ryan throwing his book out the door, like the window, driving, like.
Yeah,
the whole crowd just sitting on the floor, like staring at him.
They just got like everyone just sat down, like no.
But it like didn't seem planned. It was just like this group's gonna sit on the ground, and everyone's like, "Yeah, we're gonna sit on the ground." And I'm in the back, like
the whole crowd's just like, "No."
I was cringing, dude. I was cringing.
Oh gosh, that was miserable.
Anyways,
Salt Lake City. Okay, so Shout out. Blame it on the power of prayer. Dude, that's a wild one. I remember showing the end riff of the power of prayer with that. Okay, first off, I want to say that I was 100% behind yelling hallelujah in a song. And that really happened. Hallelujah. And then I remember at the end riff when it is like the salvation to the Lion and the Lamb, and we're singing it. Yeah. With that like metal-y weird riff at the end. I remember Richard Ford looking at me and going like, and I was like, cool, and we win. All right, there we go. The power.
It's a good song.
I was sick. I remember being like, all right, that one's hard.
I wish he was around all the time. We would just write something and just look to him, and if he was like, we know we did good. Thank you, Dick. Thank you, Dick Punch Out.
Okay, power of prayer. That was a good one. Do you remember the first version of that had the demonized woman on it?
Yeah, on the demo.
The demo had that recording of that lady that had the demonic stuff going on. Her voice was all. That was creepy. That was sick. I wish we would have put that on. That would have been cool.
You guys have a copy of that? I don't have one.
Dude, I went through. I was telling JR, we've been going through our whole house, and I have one bin now, a plastic bin full of just like memory
Gabe might have it.
Who?
Gabe like music hoarder, so he's
like a historian.
I have a bunch of Sleeping Giant 06 like recorded stuff, but they're on CD, So, they might as well be on AM, FM radio at this point. Like, I don't know how to listen to it.
Tape player? No tape player. What about
a CD?
AM
radio. FM radio.
No, I was talking to the ham radio.
$39 a day. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Geoff's got maggot mouth.
Do you remember when you did that to me in Bogota? I lost.
Yes, dude. Oh my gosh. Shout out Colombia.
Colombia.
No one's gonna know what that's from either.
No.
Some people might.
A few wild ones.
No, Road, Behold the Talk about Behold the Pale Horse. What's your favorite memory of playing that song? Because that was like a banger.
My favorite memory is for the first year of playing that song live, we'd hit that breakdown, and then there was a pause, and you could hear people go, "Oh!" for like a year.
So, still one of my favorites when you can just hear people getting punched, like you just hear, and then,
or people picking up tables in Salt Lake City and throwing them across the.
Just throwing them. That was sick. That was fun. That's a good song.
Also, I don't think we ever played that like tight.
No,
it was just a.
It was just
so
a
bad.
vessel to deliver punching.
It's like
to the people.
Here's my guitar. Do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, passing it to friends. Here, play this.
Passing
song.
it to Rex or Botten or somebody.
Yeah.
Someone play it. No big deal.
Someone play this. I'm not playing this.
Did at the last show, did Matt Boughton play it?
Rex played Pale Horse, and then I gave Botten Tithemy.
Okay, that was it. Okay, I remember we handed off stuff.
I told Rex he had to play the end part too, which he got extremely nervous about.
He just turned the volume down.
Yeah,
moved his fingers around,
and then turned it back up. That's it. Okay, cool.
That's what I did on bass.
Bro, you did more than that.
Every song.
So
turned down.
Think about this for a second. This was mostly California when we had this record. Is that true? Where did we go to Nashville on that fly out, or was that the second record?
That's his first record.
We
first
went
record
twice.
Wow.
We went when Please set up that show at Rocket Town in the small room. And then I think we went over on East Coast for Face Down Fest East Coast, where Tony and Mike Radford came with us. I don't know if you remember that.
Wasn't that in Maryland?
Yeah, it was in Maryland. That's where we met Neil and Camille.
Oh yeah.
First time we stayed with those dudes.
It was on a school stage, like auditorium, right?
Yeah, weird. Yeah. But it's that farm country, like Maryland, Pennsylvania style, like East Coast kind of feel. So so what was the coolest show we played on during this time?
I remember.
You can remember
when we played. I have two. Okay. So the first time we flew out to Nashville, and I remember being telling people these people want us to get in an aeroplane and fly our physical bodies and instruments to another state.
Yeah.
And play these songs in person for them for money.
For money.
I couldn't wrap my head around it.
Fly there.
Yeah, I couldn't wrap my head around it. It was so overwhelming that people cared.
Yeah.
And the second one was when we played, the first time we played Showcase after this record came out, and it was packed. It was absolute chaos. And that was another.
Play with. Talk about that. I don't remember it.
Oh, I have no idea. I can't remember either. But I remember it was completely packed and people went absolutely ham. It was really insane. And I remember just looking out and being like, oh my gosh, what is happening here? Yeah. Why do they care,
Yeah.
I think.
What do you think? Oh, Geoff.
I was going to say, this Stronghold where we filmed Patient Endurance. And I remember...
in the big room?
Yeah, I remember Plea Purging, I think, played with us, and I remember Andy saying, I loved your first album. Why didn't you guys play or like tour? And we said, oh, we can't. Tommy's got stuff here and we're not really touring. And he's like, yeah, but if you just get a fill-in singer, then you can. But he never saw us live. He just heard the album,
Yeah.
And he saw Stronghold and he's like, I get it now. Like,
oh, wow. That's cool.
I would say that
he just thought it's just band stuff.
Yeah, he's like, it's a band. Just get a fill-in singer. Like, you guys write awesome, cool songs. And then Oasis Halloween show, I think it was, with Impending Doom.
So hard. Yeah.
And a couple where we came out, like, I came out as a shark and you guys came out as like shark victims or something. And I could only play that I think we played what song? Power of Prayer, and then I had to take the shark costume off.
Yeah, you were so hot. It
was like pitch black, and to just see this like blow up shark costume just like bouncing. I gotta try to find the video of it. There's a video.
Yeah, that's funny.
But I remember those Oasis ones being awesome.
You could still find like on YouTube. There's like a video of us play. We tried to play the album front to back in the basement of Oasis. Yeah. And you could see us playing Army of One, and it starts with the lights on, and it's the craziest thing in the whole world.
I remember that. Yeah. I like that a lot. I remember
that video of, I think, like Highland in Florida dressed as Mario Luigi, and then Lil Colin dressed as like a banana, just like going across the screen and then coming back. McDermott. That's cool. Shout out to McDermott.
What do you think?
Shout out to the terrible.
Calling it terrible.
Calling it terrible, dude. Monopoly jokes.
Monopoly jokes himself.
Nothing's over. Just give me something to drink.
And Mike Radford, how they would come as like a package deal on every trip.
Everything. Yep.
They're like, we don't care. Just bring us with you. We don't care.
Okay, so for you guys, as we're like thinking this thing through, what's your favorite part about, maybe your favorite thing about this record? Like, what did it mean to you? What did it mean to you then? What does it mean to you now?
I think it kind of just gave a sense to us that like people actually kind of cared what we had to say, or what, not necessarily music, because it wasn't anything revolutionary, obviously, but I think as like the whole package in you gave you a platform to tell your story, and then opened up everything for future bands to come along and feel safe that they can say stuff that they want to say, I think that this record kind of obviously started it all, having Jason sign us, and it was like a band that you just played in the city, we're not going anywhere. We're just playing Redlands, Corona, and maybe a couple other, Lancaster, with those.
Chino.
Yeah.
We were like Southern California. That was it. We were regional. That was it.
I think Eric was it Eric that he like kind of phoned in, I can't remember, to Jason, was like, hey, you should sign them. And Jason just like signed us because we were big in the area. I think that
that might have been Eric. I remember, I don't know. Again, I was like ignorant of a whole lot of like back office stuff. I wasn't, anytime we got done with the showcase and Travis would be like, hey, make $250 or something, I'd be like, we got paid? That's weird.
Off those white rainbow hoodies.
Yeah, but I didn't know. And I remember JD came to me and said, at the Stronghold in Rialto, he said, every time you guys play, God talks to me, and I would love to put out your record. Okay. So I didn't know anything. If Money like called and was like, yo, you guys should do this.
I thought it was, but maybe not.
I remember Money had like the Plague thing. He had our demo, and he had
because Death Star, I think, was,
and he had those 3 bands kind of regionally, and so it was like Eyewitness Media, and he had like a couple things happening. So he might have been like, yo, I've got the best.
But then I think just
things, but
getting signed, recording, and then like what Little Ryan said about people in other states wanting to fly us, it all started with that album of just.
What do you remember about JD and like Face Down? Do you guys remember anything about that? I just remember that conversation with Rialto. I remember signing.
To me, it was big because, I mean, a lot of my favorite bands were on that, came through that record, and you're like, 4 years earlier, going to shows and all these bands are on this record, you know, and then to think like, okay, now you're signed to this record label and now you're working with Jason Dunn and now you're part of the history that Face Down is.
Yeah. Big deal.
And at that time, that I would probably argue that it was at one of its biggest points, right? With like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
all those bands, you know, was including, and then Impending Doom got signed to there too. And then you had like all those huge ones coming up, Cyanide Beach and Falling Cycle and all those guys. So to be on that same label at that time, it kind of just, I guess, like confirm that, okay, like maybe we do have a place. I don't know if it's bigger or if this is just what it is, you know? So
sick.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like if you're close to us, you kind of know the story, but I feel like a lot of people don't realize that Sleeping Giant was the band that like never should have happened. Mm-hmm. You know, like you and Travis and Corey Travis and Corey initially started writing music for fun. Then they were like, let's get some vocals on this. Tommy's got a piss voice. And you were like, yeah, cool. This will just be a fun project. Like, you know, I'm busy like trying to make life happen and be a dad and stuff. So let's just like write some lyrics and write some like heavy worship trademark.
TM. Suck on that, Impending Doom.
And so, you know, we were never going to be a real band. Mm-mm. And so I asked, you know, hey, let me play bass. Like, I'll figure it out. You know, I didn't play bass before the band started. So like, I shouldn't have been in it. You know, you guys could have gotten anybody. But,
so sick.
You know, and then all of a sudden we had all these songs, you know, and then Geoff jumped in. We're like, yo, we have a bunch of songs. We're like a real band now. What if we played a couple shows? You know, our church, Tiffany at the time, was having hardcore shows already. So like, what if we just open for a handful of shows and that's it? Because we're not going to tour. We're not going to record. We're not going to do the normal band thing. And then we started playing, you know, outside of Redlands. And it was like, yo, people actually like this band, you know? And it's like, JD was like, please let me sign you guys. And we were like, yeah, I don't know why you would do that. We're not going to tour, you know, like we're not going to do anything. Like we're not a real band. He's just like, I just believe in you guys. Like, let me put out your record. Yeah. And so we did, and we were never going to tour and nobody was ever going to hear it. Yeah. And, you know, things just fell into place and friggin' 10 years later, you know what I mean?
I think also our friends and families like traveled so well with the band that helped tremendously, because a lot of our bands that we played with, like as soon as they like got out of their 15-20 mile like radius, like they're done. But for the whole 12 years, like I think we had at least one friend, if not multiple, at like every single show that drove out to, which is pretty unheard of, you know.
Dude, we had the whole
like crew. Even if we were playing in San Diego, it was like 2 cars came and carpooled, and they're like, we have work tomorrow at 5. We don't care. Like we're here, and we would do everything we could to get them to get them in free for just making a drive. But I would say like our friends were like everywhere. It didn't matter.
Of course, yeah. Like it couldn't happen without that kind of momentum. And that's like timing, our crew just being down for us, like real high value on one another. Totally. The fact that when we played in Dallas, you know, we had like 7-8 iDub kids standing on stage, like throwing towels. It's like, they've always been there. Our friends have always been there. Like, it's totally team effort.
Which I think totally helped the band. Like anytime we played in a city that was like a weird atmosphere, or we were kind of like, I don't know how we feel about this. And then to look and see all the like people that traveled for us, like kind of gave us a boost, and I think it did help change the atmosphere on some of the shows, to be honest. But
that's real.
Because they backed what we did and they believed in us, probably sometimes believed in us more than we believed in ourselves at times. But that was a huge thing, I think.
Can you talk about this for a second, and then we'll bring it in for a landing? Like, because I think it goes to like there was a sense of like mission. We had a shared like spiritual culture, but like talk a little bit about what's the first time that you remember feeling like the atmosphere was different with us?
Showcase.
Oh, okay. Well, go into it, because it was
back
about momentum.
What Little Ryan said about
faith and support.
We talked about Whoremonger. What Little Ryan was like, everyone kind of stopped, and I don't know if it's because
it's a vulnerable moment, and vulnerability invites a level of like care.
Yeah. But I think, I don't know, at the time I didn't know if it's like you play a couple songs, you get people's attention, you kind of have the respect, like, oh, this is a cool band, I'm going to show respect to them and not say anything. Or if it was like the power in which of what you were talking about. And at the time, it might have been a combination of both, because you had a lot of our friends that were there, but then you had also people that probably just heard about us or never seen us before. And after playing like Blame It or Patient or something, you know, they're like, oh, okay, like they're good or whatever. Like, I'm going to give them respect. But back to what like little Ryan said about Whoremonger, I think it was Showcase, where it just got quiet and people gave you the space to say stuff. And then that for you clicked, saying like, okay, maybe I can do this, but like, this is going to work now, you know? So I just remember that as after playing Showcase, I was like, you know, I think the band, as far as like the potential of the band and everyone in the band, was like, oh, maybe we might be a little bit bigger than what we think we are, and we might have more of a platform than what we think we do. So
I remember sort of feeling like that when we played with Ignite and Stick to Your Guns on the Miracle.
Was that in like Long Beach?
Yeah, we were in LA, and I remember that was like when some of the Sumerian dudes were there. They wanted us to like sign with them or something, but there was a bunch of people there, and we did our thing. But there was a bunch of our homies that came, right? So we had support in the crowd.
Yeah.
But I remember that was like a thing. They were like, this is like, for them, I bet it was more like a gimmick. Like, hey, this works.
Well, I remember like, what was Ash? He wanted to, Matt Anderson introduced me to him, and he's like, he saw us multiple times, and it was the same thing every time. So I remember him telling us like, oh, I get it. It's not like a one-time thing. It's not like really an act. Like, this is just what you guys do, who you are.
Yeah.
And that was like at some fest at the Galaxy in Santa Ana, like some big old fest or something. So
when we got thrown, they threw all the beer at us.
Do
you remember that? I
remember when you got piss thrown out at Cornerstone. And then we took that picture and put it on a shirt for you to
forever. It's memorialized forever. My eyes half closed and just here.
And then we hunted. Do you remember we hunted down the guy? We found him.
I spent my whole day, that whole day.
I remember that.
I walked around Cornerstone. I would stop and sit in porta potties and just cry and be like, I'm sorry if I'm such a jerk, Christian, that happened. I'm not even going to believe that was like persecution. I'm just like, maybe I'm just such a jerk that some kid decided to like humble me. And so I just spent the whole day like, God, I'm sorry. I don't need an apology. I don't want to hear anything about it from anybody. Came back to the merch tent, walk up. Eric is talking to some people, and she walks up to me and she goes, I know who it was. And I was like, I don't want to know. And I walked away, and then I came back and I'm like, should I have asked? And Eric's like, I found out. And I'm like, I don't want to know. And I walked away. And then that night I waited to see if they did the same thing to Maddie. And they didn't. And then I felt worse. Like, oh my God, it's totally me. I suck so bad. I thought it was just because we preached, but it was like, so I felt horrible. I'm settling some garbage dispute with Justin Kamish and probably half of whatever tour he's on, like all the time. And like, I'm talking to him, and then I look over his shoulder and I see an army of Christian hardcore people guiding this small skinhead kid towards me. And I'm like, I don't want to know how this is going to go at all. And then he came up to me and I thanked him for apologizing, and that made him feel worse. And then and he went to tell me the story, dude. And I was like, I don't need to know your story, man. And he's like, we just sit and talk crap about it. And I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I don't need that. Thank you.
And that was like, he threw it on you at like the first song. It wasn't like the last song. You're just like
done praying. And I remember we started the song. I kneeled down to yell. He walked. I remember seeing him make his way. And I remember thinking, does he want the mic? And then I saw him take this thing out, and I closed my eyes, and it hit me a couple times. I remember I was like, this is piss. This dude just threw piss on me. I started crying, and I felt like the Lord's like, I literally felt this like, you need to keep going. I'll pay you back. And I'm like, ah! So I kept going, and it was a great set. But I remember just feeling like
it's an amazing set.
It was powerful.
It's such a great show.
You definitely handled it way different than.
I'm wearing my favorite Gorilla Biscuits long sleeve. I'm covered in piss, I cannot believe this is happening to me right now. This is like thousands of children looking at
This
me.
is supposed to be my safe space. Cornerstone is my safe space.
I'm not safe. I'm like a bad Christian, bad guy. I guess this is just how it's going to go. Yeah, that was a wild one. That was wild. Okay, sorry. So, but yes, you guys memorialized it. And then on the back of that white shirt, there's a picture of me and urine. Just
Yeah, so if anyone has that,
that's not a good look for
it's an
your
eBay shirt. Should go for thousands.
Dang it. I've told that story maybe once or twice to some people, but I try to keep it on the DL. That was so wild.
Oh, thanks, Geoff. Good job, dude.
Dude, you can edit this.
Okay, so
I'll edit it out for you.
JR, give me a what's maybe the first time you felt like atmosphere was an ally, like where you were like, dang, our shows are a little different.
I think most of the credit belongs to our crew for that. You know what I mean? Because it was their level of like participation. Because we would show up and play with bands and they didn't know what the hell to make of us. You know, they didn't know what to do. And it was really awkward to hear, you know, this dude talk about Jesus and all this crazy shit he's been through. And, you know, our friends really like set the example of like, you know, this is, if you care, this is how you worship the divine in this setting. Yeah. If you don't care, this is how you, you know, show respect for somebody speaking his truth and speaking his heart. And if, you know, you're just here to have a good time, then like, let's mash, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think a lot of the credit has to do with that. But in the later years, you know what I mean? It's like you know, really, we could go anywhere, you know, on tour, in festivals or wherever, and you could command a room and sort of direct it yourself, you know, or like showing our example. I remember being in Death Star and Eric, you know, acting as the band president was like, I don't care if we sound perfect. I just want people to see the craziest thing they've ever seen. I want people to talk about this after they leave because we were going harder than anybody else in the room. And so that was like, that really helped me when Sleeping Giant started, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, if this is supposed to be like, you know, spiritual music, if we're supposed to be worshiping, if we're supposed to be, you know, communing with the divine, like I have to be genuine about it. And I have to really, really, really do it for real. And if I was not bound by the confines of, you know, ego and scene and like expectations, what does it look like? You know what I mean? And so we learned to do that as a group, you know, kind of under your direction. And so it really gave people permission to, you know, just to go there. Yeah.
Geoff, when was the first time you ever kind of lost it? Do you remember there's been a couple of times you came up to me, you're like, I don't know why, man. Like I just started crying. Like when that, what was the first time you really felt your heart move? It wasn't just performance, but it was like.
It was that time somebody spilled a drink on his favorite sweatpants. He was really broken up about that.
Their names were Gwen and Bo, and they're about 4.
And it happens every day.
Not the salmon pants. I remember specifically, I think it was I played a festival in New Zealand. Do you remember? Forgot what it was called. It was probably the most well put festival.
Parachute, wasn't it? Parachute. It was like all epic at that. Yeah, the huge.
It was indoors. I don't know. I think I remember playing Tiffany and stuff, and that was, I think, the first time where I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess.
Isn't it ironic that was the first trip I didn't go on with Sleeping Giant?
Because I just always had to worry about this.
Geoff could finally just be free, you know.
Because it wasn't on my side of the stage. I didn't have to worry about a flying bass. I was just like muted the entire time.
So good. That's awesome. Dang, man. Well, I really appreciate it. That's cool. Like, what? Okay, so final thought. What's your favorite song again? JR, Sleeping Giant?
Yeah, hands down. It's slow and sludgy and heavy and groovy, and it's everything I want a song to be.
That's awesome.
And doesn't that song have Bruce from 100 Demons on it?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Shout out to Bruce. In the Eyes of the Lord.
Bruce. Eyes of the Lord, 100 Demons, give it up. Gio, what's your favorite song from this record, bro?
I didn't write it, but I would probably, listening to it more and more and more, is probably Army.
The Army of One song?
Yeah.
Why is it your favorite? That's wild. I like it a lot. I love it a lot. That's weird.
I don't know. It just kind of has everything in it.
It's got really soft bread, and it's got that nice tomato slice. And I like that a lot.
It's perfect.
Is it on? Is the salmon pants on?
Oh my gosh. Geoff, what's up, dude? Are you killing your dog? What's going on with your dog?
It's not me.
Whose dog is that?
Probably.
It's my neighbor's dog.
I thought it was Geoff's dog. I'm like, Geoff, dude, what's up with your dog? I thought your dog was way big. That does not sound like a very big dog.
It's my neighbor's dog. It's really fun. It's really great that they're doing that. I like it a lot.
I don't know where my dog is. I think she's in the backyard right now.
Oh, man. Well, you guys, I love you a lot. Thank you for talking through this record. We'll do follow-up stuff on... Next one will be Sons of Thunder. Epic stories, probably. I wasn't there. That was the first record where you guys
one
were
was
out
like
here.
the most complicated record all around.
The most things happening. So we'll do Sons of Thunder next episode.
Just so much.
Rev Talks, killing the game. JR Bermuda, Gio Brulette. Love you guys very, very much.
Love you too.
Okay,
Love you, bud.
Not little Ryan though. Okay.
Hey, you guys, Tommy Green here. Just want to say thank you again for listening to this episode of the Rev Talks podcast. Our hope with each and every episode is that it would encourage you, maybe give you a reason to have a laugh, expand your capacity on the inside to love and empathy, appreciation, hopefully make your world just a little bit bigger and give you faith, hope for the future. If you like what you heard, again, please share, subscribe, give us a good rating, give us some good feedback. Over all of this, thank you so much for taking us with you in a small part of your day, on the drive, on the run, just as you're going about your day. Thank you so much for sharing some time of your life with us on this podcast. To connect with us, you can email us again at therevgatherings.com, and we will see you on the next episode. Love you guys. Bye.